Ring that bell. Rowdy Tellez with us on MLB Now, and now some chill time. So let's first go over the bell for the national audience. Like, where did that come from? How's that going still now? We're, what, about a month and a half into the bell situation, which started with Quentin Berry, right? I know the story, so you probably tell it better than I do.
Actually, probably not. Quentin Berry showed up with a bell one day, put it in the dugout. Willie went out there, broke it. We had to Renfro came out and fixed it, and we've been rolling with the bell ever since. But yeah, I really don't know like where it started or what was the idea behind it, but Q brought it in, and we've been using it, so it's a fun little thing to have.
Here's what I heard. So Craig Counsell told me that Quentin Berry, who is what, your first base coach?
Yes.
Right? So and Willie, he's talking about Adames, broke the bell, but he brings it in. He wanted to have it like ring for a baseball-y kind of play. But Craig said that, I guess maybe the first game he brings it out, your team had like a bunch of homers. So then they just start ringing it for the homers, and he's like, all right, that's what it is now.
Well, yeah, Craig came up to me and was like, hey, we have something for the team, but it doesn't involve you. You're not allowed to do it. And I was like, all right, cool. So then the bell comes out, and I'm looking at it, and Craig goes, you can't ring the bell. So who's the first person to ring the bell?
Of course, you. Yeah,
like,
I'm not
going to let it not happen. So I had to just go out there and kind of prove a point that it was going to be me the first one to ring it.
Would you ring it for a homer? Was it?
Yeah,
for
we rang it for, I think we did, you know, it's big hits, homers, good defensive plays, anything that really involves us.
The other thing I heard,
pitchers.
Not for pitchers.
I don't think
no. But the other thing I heard though was there was a ball that almost smoked Quentin Berry, like a foul ball, and he like ducked it, and so they rang the bell for him.
Yeah,
so, you know.
we gotta, you know, he needs some help, so we let him have his time.
Yeah, well, and he can run faster than probably anyone on the team even currently.
Still, yes.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. So with that being said, bell was rung a ton of times, 8 RBI games. So let's go back to that. You were Player of the Week in early May. Do you reflect at all? I know it's like the season, and then there's a game the next day, but on how ridiculous of a game you had there on May 4th?
Yeah, it was one of those where you just kind of black out. I mean, I remember I just started it with like an outrageous flare.
Yep, we showed it. Yeah.
And then
now you know you're gonna have a day, right?
Yeah, it was like crazy outrageous. It was like a foot off the plate, down, everything. I kind of flung the bat at it, and then it just all went from there. You know, it was a battle with the Reds. We had a couple of moments where fired our team up, and I was able to produce, but. Yeah, it was one of those games where you'll never forget.
It was almost 10 RBIs, as you know.
Yeah,
you were close to Grand Slam City on the last AB, which ended up being a double off the top of the wall.
Yeah, it was off a position player, too, so it wouldn't have been, 10 RBIs in a game, but 2 Grand Slams would have been pretty cool.
That was off Matt Reynolds. And also, that's the thing, though. I mean, I didn't even think about that, and I remember watching the game, but, like, unless you remind people, no one's even thinking about the whole position player later on in the game. They would have just been like, yo, Rowdy Tellez had a 10 RBI
Until they look
game.
at the velo, and they're like, oh, he threw a changeup, huh? All right, cool.
Yeah, oh, wow. He smacked a changeup. I like it. All right, so let's run through some Toronto life, too, because you come over from the Blue Jays. That's your first squad. Made really good friends with a guy like Danny Jansen, and I heard you actually officiated his wedding, which makes sense why you're on here, because you can clearly talk.
Yeah, that was fun. He called me and he was like, "Hey, man, I want you to do something in my wedding." And I was like, "Oh yeah, dude, I'll be a groomsman." He was like, "No." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Not cool enough to be a groomsman." He's like, "I want you to officiate the wedding." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "You don't have to say yes. You can say no." I was like, "No, dude, I just said yes." Like that's crazy fun. And I got out there, and we were in Florida, and I started reading. I dressed up, wore a hat. I looked real dapper, and I started reading, and I started crying immediately.
No way.
Yeah, I just looked down, looked up, and like Jana was next to me, and then Alexis came down the aisle, and I started like crying.
How'd you get it together?
I mean, I looked at his dad, and his dad had these little black glasses on, and I was like, I had told Steve, who was Jana's dad, and he was like, "You're not going to make me cry." Well, he had cheated, so I was like, all right, well, nobody can see that he's crying. So I kind of composed, but it was real emotional. Me and Jana were really close, drafted together, lived together, played every level together. You know, the whole Jansen family is just a huge part of my life, so it was really easy. I had a great time doing it.
That is awesome. I love that. And yeah, you're in charge for that little time period. There's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I forgot to tell people to sit down. So you know when the bride comes down and then you may everybody may be seated.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
So they're all just standing.
Yeah, and I started reading, and I looked up, and I was like, uh-oh. Like, y'all may be seated. I said another word in there, and I was mic'd up, but you can't say it on TV.
Yeah.
And but I had talked to Ryan Barucki, whose sister does a lot of them, and brother-in-law, and that was like the first and only thing they told me. It was like, make sure you just tell them you guys may be seated.
And you forgot. Yep, great. Well, it's good. You just want them to stretch it out a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You've played with a lot of, even going back to high school, really talented ball players. So you went to Elk Grove, which I feel like I've said this a million times when I'm talking about certain players, just because of how many big leaguers came out of that high school in such a short period of time. We're showing you the alums. Like, this is not like, oh, let me take you back. Like, these guys are all basically current big leaguers, right, that we're looking at. So you were 2013. Class of 2011 was J.D. Davis, right? I have that right. Derek Hill, 2014. Madrigal, 2015. Dylan Carlson, 2016. And by the way, Dylan Carlson's dad, Jeff, was the coach there. And this is all about 100 miles away from Oracle Park. There he is. There you go.
There it is. Oh, goodness. That's definitely not my Instagram either. I don't have Instagram.
Yeah, so that's
somebody else.
Somebody's putting on, photos from high school.
There was a lot of us that came through. Dom Nunez was the same year as me. He was in the big leagues with the Rockies. Mm-hmm. And then, we all played together. JD left because he was 2 years older than me and Dom. But out of all of us, we were all there together. I mean, there's a good picture. There's three of us, and I think Derek Hill's actually the one that got the hit. They got the pitcher pulled out of the game. But that's all of us sitting there back when I had hair.
It looks good. Who are you with there?
That's Dom Nunez in the middle, and then Nick Madrigal is on the left.
Nice.
Yeah, he hasn't grown much.
But he makes contact. You do too. I mean, I've talked to your manager about this. Like, for a power hitting guy, like, you're not Mr. Strikeout. Like, you make big time power in your plate coverage, just like we showed with the 8 RBI game. Like, your first hit was down here.
Yeah. I've always believed that, like, I'm a contact guy. Like, I want to make more contact than strike out. But it's good things happen when you put the ball in play, and it's not always about the stats. Sometimes you can get on with an error and you end up scoring the winning run or the go-ahead run. So for me, it's just making sure that I'm not being a one-dimensional hitter.
No, you're not at all. And what's your favorite pitch to hit? Fastball. What type? Oh, yeah. So let's do that. StatCast powered by Google Cloud. We've got it queued up for first baseman. Slugging percentage against the fastball. Rowdy Tellez having a year. Third in baseball this season, along with Christian Walker and Garrett Cooper. So, I mean, safe to say that quite often the approach involves, what's this guy's fastball look like?
Yeah.
Let me get in a good spot for that. And you can also foul off some of the tough pitches to make sure you get to that fastball situation eventually, right?
It's just, you learn your pitchers and you understand what they're trying to do against you, and you understand what people think your weaknesses are. But, I try and stay through the middle of the field. And if I'm a little late, hit it to left, a little early, hit it to right. So I try to keep it as simple as I possibly can.
And one guy on that list also you played with for a little bit of time, Vladdy Jr. is pretty good too.
Yeah.
He can handle a heater.
Really good baseball player.
Yeah, really good.